A small sliver of metal might not look like much at first glance, but tucked inside a handful of change can lie a story that stretches from secret mint experiments to six-figure auction podiums. Today's journey takes us beneath the shiny surface of two ordinary U.S. dimes. First, the 1965 issue, and later the 1975 edition, to uncover how minor tweaks, hidden errors, and a bit of luck can transform 10 cents into treasure. You'll hear how a routine change in metal composition spawns some of the rarest pattern coins ever struck, what tiny marks or missing mint identifiers reveal about their origin, and why collectors in their 40s, 50s, and beyond still chase these elusive little discs with fervor. Let's start back in the spring of 1965, when the United States was wrestling with a rapidly draining silver supply. Less than a year after President Kennedy's portrait debuted on the half-dollar, Treasury officials quietly decided to pull all silver out of dimes and quarters. The sudden switch to a clad sandwich of copper and nickel layers meant that every single 1965 dime traveling through America's pockets would look just like its predecessor, except it wasn't silver anymore. By the time most Americans noticed, millions of these new clad dimes were already in circulation, and the Philadelphia and Denver mints were racing to meet demand with fresh planchets and press settings optimized for the new composition. That seemingly routine metal swap set the stage for one of the most fascinating error families in modern U.S. coinage. Since the planchets were entirely different, mint personnel and equipment adjustments led to a handful of trial strikes and pattern pieces meant only for internal evaluation. Among those patterns were the now legendary FS 101 and FS 102 dimes, codes referring to internal catalog numbers in the Federal Reserve and mint records. Only 3 FS 101 specimens and a similar tiny group of FS 102 pieces are known today, and they're distinctive because they were struck on the old silver planchets by mistake, complete with the new clad obverse die bearing Kennedy's profile. In other words, they look like a 1965 copper-nickel dime on one side and a genuine silver dime on the other, a clear giveaway that something extraordinary occurred behind closed mint doors. Spotting one of these pattern errors demands a careful eye. On an FS 101, the copper-nickel layers are evident along the edge when held up to a light, while the reverse, the side with the fasces and olive branch, still carries the soft gray sheen of 90% silver. The mint mark is entirely absent on the obverse, matching all 65 dimes, but the weight and edge reveal the mismatch if you know to look for them. Collectors often use precision scales and magnification to distinguish a true pattern piece from a later electrotype or modern counterfeit. Even the smallest sign of tooling or post-strike polishing is a red flag. Authentic FS specimens show crisp die details and none of the filing marks that counterfeiters sometimes leave behind. When it comes to street value, most circulated 1965 clad dimes trade for just face value or a modest premium. Think a few cents to $1 at most, unless they show environmental toning or unusual coloration. Uncirculated examples in mint state grades, MS 60 through MS 63, might fetch between $5 and $20, depending on eye appeal and any incidental die rubs. Coins graded MS 65 can break the $100 threshold if they exhibit full original luster and sharp strike. But for the elite pattern pieces, the sky's the limit. A single FS 101 specimen sold at a major auction in 2018 for $180,000, stunning even veteran dealers who thought they'd seen every modern rarity. A matched FS 102 recently crossed the block for just under $150,000, reminding everyone that a slip-up by mint staff is far more valuable than perfection in standard bullion planchets. Beyond the headlines of auction records, these pattern dimes carry tales of serendipity. One notable story involves a 6th-grade history teacher who discovered an FS 101 in a bag of coins she received from her parents. Initially convinced it was just a rough-looking dime, she tucked it away in a desk drawer. Decades later, after attending a local coin show, she heard a presentation about pattern Kennedy half-dollars and mentioned her odd dime to a dealer. Within moments, the classroom curiosity had transformed into a life-changing windfall that funded both a family vacation and a small scholarship fund at her school. If you're eyeballing your 65 dimes for condition-based value boosts, focus on strike quality and surface preservation. In circulated grades, heavy wear can erase the subtle hairline detail above Kennedy's temple, plummet the rims, and blend the olive branch leaves on the reverse into a flat blur. But in mint state, watch for sharp lettering on Liberty, a fully formed eagle's head engraving on the reverse, and original satin-like surfaces untainted by bag marks or cleaning abrasions. A flawless MS-67 specimen could be worth upwards of $250, while any hint of drag marks or paste residue from improper cleaning can drop that by half or more. For a true FS 101 or FS 102, even an MS 64 rating can still command six figures, provided authenticity has been vetted by the top grading services. Collectors around your age bracket often remember celebrating the Kennedy Dime's debut, and many still cling to those first commissions and die trials that slipped through the cracks. It's that blend of personal nostalgia and detective work, weighing coins on scales, comparing edge thickness, hunting down provenance documents, that makes the 1965 pattern dimes uniquely thrilling. Whether you've inherited a small collection or have kept every penny since your high school band trip, these coins remind us that history doesn't just sit in textbooks. It jingles in our pockets, waiting for the right pair of eyes to catch a glint that says, "This one's different." With those discoveries in your toolkit, you're ready to spot common-clad issues and rare silver planchet intruders alike. Keep an open mind and a steady hand when you sort through your rolls, because finding even a single FS 101 juggernaut can change a casual hobby into an obsession and rewrite the value of a seemingly ordinary dime forever. Next up, we'll turn our lens to the 1975 US dime, another unassuming coin hiding its own cache of errors, surprises, and record-setting auction tales. Sliding into the mid-70s, the 1975 dime began life amid a different set of challenges at the US Mint. After a decade of clad composition, demand for pocket change remained high as the economy shifted and coin shortages flared in several regions. Philadelphia and Denver pressed millions of these dimes into circulation, while San Francisco focused on immaculate proof strikes for collectors. It seemed an unremarkable issue at first glance. Same Kennedy portrait, same fasces reverse. But as history would show, tiny mint floor hiccups and experimental strikes turned a routine 10-cent piece into a playground for errors and rare varieties. From the moment the first planchets rolled under the new dies, mint workers noticed subtle differences in metal flow and die contact. Midway through production, technicians at Denver experimented with slightly different die clearances to improve image sharpness, leaving behind a small run of business strikes with unusually bold lettering and deeply struck hairlines above Kennedy's ear. At the same time, San Francisco's proof operators tweaked polishing procedures, producing a handful of ultra-deep cameo proofs that contrasted strikingly against frosted devices. None of these adjustments were officially recorded in annual reports, but today they're keys to unlocking a spectrum of collectability few expect from a 1975 dime. Spotting the bold hair variety starts with a close look at the obverse. Standard 1975 dimes feature moderately clear strands of hair above the forehead, but the bold hair pieces show extra deep grooves and stronger relief around Kennedy's temples. On genuine examples, each individual hair strand is sharply defined and casts a fine shadow under direct light. Contrast that with a normal strike, where the hair can look slightly flattened under the same conditions. Combine that feature with ultra-sharp rim borders, so crisp that the denticles around the coin's perimeter seem almost serrated, and you've narrowed down a true Denver bold hair strike. Only a few dozen are known in business strike grades, making MS-65 examples a prized find. Even more elusive are the proof Cameo dimes from San Francisco. Regular proof 1975 dimes have smooth, mirror-like fields and frosted raised elements, but these Cameo proofs take that dialed effect to another level. Imagine a dime that, under magnification, presents a silvery, mirrored background so flawless that your face reflects in it, while Kennedy's profile and the fasces reverse pop in frosted white relief. Early pieces of this variety were mistakenly shipped to dealers as new proofs in small lots before the mint caught the mix-up, creating a handful of off-register presentation cards now valued for their mystery and rarity. Repunched mint marks also claim a spot in the 1975 dime era roster. At Philadelphia, where mint marks were reintroduced only a few years earlier, some workers hand-punched the P twice, slightly offset on the die. The result is an obverse mint mark that looks subtly blurred or doubled, most visible under low magnification around the left edge of the P. Authentic RPMs from 75 are scarce. Official records hint at only a dozen or so discovered in mint submission sets. One standout piece, graded MS, 66 RPM, sold privately in 2022 for over $2,500, thanks to its unusually clean fields and sharply defined secondary punch impressions. Off-center strikes and clipped planchets add more drama to 1975 dime collecting. When a planchet slips partially out of place before the press closes, you end up with a strike that only covers part of the coin's surface, sometimes as little as 70% of a normal strike, sometimes nearly full but skewed. Owners of these off-centers often find them tucked away in rolls from bank runs, unaware until a glint of exposed metal edge catches the light. Depending on how far off-center the image sits, such pieces can fetch anywhere from a few hundred to several $1,000s at auction. A particularly dramatic 45% off-center specimen brought $3,200 in 2023, thanks to its artistic skew and untouched surfaces. Clipped planchets occur when the blanks are improperly cut, leaving a curved or straight bite missing from the rim. Collectors prize these pieces for the dramatic way they reveal the coin's manufacturing journey. In 75, some clipped planchets show distinctly curved clips, evidence of two overlapping blanks during the cutting process, while others display straight clips from misaligned cutting collars. Both varieties appear in business and proof sets, with some specimens in proof cameo form commanding five-figure prices when presented with original mint packaging. When it comes to market values for ordinary 1975 dimes, most circulated coins still trade at face value or just above, say, 20 to 50 cents a piece for those with attractive natural toning. Uncirculated business strikes in MS 60 might bring $3 to $5, while MS 63 pieces often fetch $10 to $15. For sharp MS 65 examples with full luster and no visible bag marks, expect $25 to $40, and MS 66 survivors, rare for a high circulation date, can climb into the low hundreds. Proof dimes graded PF 65 typically sell for $8 to $12, but flawless proof cameo pieces might tick up to $75 or more in the right venue. Auction headlines highlight the extreme end of the scale. In 2021, an MS 67 bold hair business strike stunned the community by selling for $4,800, underscoring the premium placed on exceptional strike quality and rarity. That same catalog featured a 50% off-center specimen that soared to $3,200, more than double its low estimate, after two determined bidders vied for the chance to own a coin that looks as though it slid halfway out of the die. On the RPM front, a single repunched P-graded SP 67 by one major service crossed the block at $2,750, thanks in part to clear provenance tracing it back to a 1976 Philadelphia Mint presentation. A memorable tale from a regional show in Ohio involved a veteran collector who flipped through a short box of 1975 dimes, drawn by a single piece that gleamed with frosty fields. Suspecting it might be a cameo proof, he handed it to a nearby dealer for magnification. Upon closer inspection, that dime turned out to be a hybrid proof, one side cameo, the other deep mirror finish, a so-called mule thought to be only a handful in existence. Word spread quickly, and that mule proof traded hands privately for $12,000, making headlines in the local numismatic press. Condition variations hold great sway over value. Once a 1975 dime has seen circulation wear, its eye appeal and grade tier drop dramatically. In grades below G4, details on Kennedy's cap can appear entirely smooth, with rim denticles blending into softly rounded edges. Mid-grade VF 20 to VF 35 coins often display slight hairline detail but carry scratches or nicks that drag prices back down to a few dollars. High grades from YEF, 40 up to -58 Australian dollars, show most devices complete and only light friction on the highest points, fetching between $5 and $12. Uncirculated survivors represent a smaller fraction of the mintage, and those with deep cameo contrast furnish the biggest premiums. Collectors hunt MS 66+ proof cameos, often testing dozens of submissions before finding a perfect specimen. Criteria include frosted reliefs untouched by polishing, mirror fields free of hairlines or abrasions, and razor-sharp rims. A PF 68 cameo proof might command $300 or more, and on rare occasions, when matched with impeccable provenance like original mint envelopes, prices can push toward the mid-four-figure mark. Authenticating these rarities requires trusted third-party grading services. Expert-level variety attribution, especially for double dyes, RPMs, and off-centers, depends on high-resolution imaging and seasoned attribution specialists. Even seasoned collectors double-check grading service population reports and auction pedigrees before placing six-figure bids. That blend of science and detective work elevates numismatics from mere accumulation to passionate pursuit. Armed with these insights, you're ready to inspect every dusty dime roll, scrutinize proof sets tucked in old albums, and weigh the potential of off-center crooks or bold-hair beauties. Whether you're chasing a modest MS 65 Denver Strike or dreaming of an elusive mule cameo, the 1975 dime reminds us that even commonplace coins can hide astonishing stories beneath their surfaces.